So I have posted out some extra material for you, and that extra material is an extra material. Will not be asking you any questions from that. That was an extra book material. Let's do a little bit of practical, and then I will go to the slide. So this is my computer here, and I'm going to create. This is not a networking example or anything. This is just a example of understanding the concepts of network. Okay, what is the net? How network? How we are? How we can communicate with my own system using an IP address. Okay, you will see that. So we always keep our files in our documents. We see our documents, we have our pictures, we have our downloads folder and whatnot. Everything is in here. Download folder is here. Let me create one folder here, and I'll say new folder. I'll just say called IT department. Obviously I don't have it, but let's say if I'm creating it on my server, I created this folder called IT department. So I have this folder right now, and if I'll go here and go to show more options and go properties, and I'll say sharing. This folder is not currently shared. Let's start sharing. Go this one, advanced sharing option, and I'll say share this folder. The name of this folder that I'm going to share is IT department, and the number of people who can access this simultaneously are 20 people who are allowed to do concurrent access to this shared folder. Right now I click apply and then click OK and close. So as I did that, you see that it has created a network path for it. What do you mean by network path? Well, I can access this by typing out this, not complicated, but this path. What is this path? It says /, then my computer name, then the slash, and then the folder name that I want to access. Well, what's the big thing that I have done? Not much. Well, if I want to go on my C drive, and if I go to documents, I will definitely see this folder every time. But you have to look at as a different side of the story, that let's say if I'm coming through the network to this computer. So let's look at that, what I'm talking about. So I'll go to CMD, command prompt, and if you go to command prompt, there is something called ipconfig. This is the very basic network command that you need to understand, that gives you information about your computer. ipconfig. I think in Linux it is called ifconfig. Here it is called as ipconfig. Okay, and as soon as I press enter, here, it shows me some information. I will not worry about too much information here. I will just go straight to, there are some different adapters that you are seeing: Ethernet adapter, wireless LAN adapter, wireless LAN adapter, VMware adapter, all differently bloated adapters here. But this is my actual wireless LAN adapter, my Wi-Fi adapter. There's another one here. It is called wireless LAN, but it does not mention about Wi-Fi. Which one is mentioning about Wi-Fi? This one. And obviously I am connected to the Wi-Fi. Here it is showing me my IP address. My IP address is my identification on this network. This is the IP address that my router upstairs has assigned me to this to this computer of mine. If I open up my phone, which I have given it to my son already, I will have a different IP address for that device. My son or my wife who have another laptop, they might have something else, but it will be in terms of 192.168.50. Something, some number. This is the dynamically assigned, this last number is the dynamically assigned number on this network to my computer. From whom? From my router. My router, which is my default gateway, is providing this IP address to me. Correct? So I'll see that this is my IP address. So I'll just copy this. Hopefully I'm able to copy this. If not, I'll just, okay. So if I open up command prompt, another command prompt, and I say, if this computer is available on the network, which command tells me that? Ping command tells me that. Ping -t means continuously ping, continuously look out for this computer until this computer says, please cancel. So I'll say 192.168.50.24. Are you available? Obviously it is available because this is the IP address of my computer, but I am going through the router and asking the router, can you look for this computer? And from the router, I'm coming back to this computer and it is saying, yes, I find this computer. And then I'll reply back to myself, yes, this is the same computer that you are looking for. Yes, it is available on the network and it has the heartbeat available. So if I'll say enter, it is going to the router. Router is looking for this IP address, which is my computer already, and saying, right, my router is replying back. My computer is replying back to the router and say, whoever is calling me, just tell them that, yes, I am available. And I am getting the reply back within less than 1 millisecond. As you can see, there's no packet losses that are happening. I'm getting the reply. And this is called latency. Remember the word latency? We also checked when we were looking at Microsoft Azure's server, which server is replying back to us in the fastest possible time. We checked out those servers. That was the latency that I wanted to check, that which is the server that is replying me back in the fastest possible way. Unfortunately, at that time when we looked at, it was from somewhere from East US, we were getting better reply than we were getting the reply from the Central Canada. I remember that. So I could have chosen that, but I was giving preference to Canadian server. But coming back to the topic, yes, if I'm getting back continuous reply from my whole system, it is telling me that this computer is available on the network. If I get the IP address of some other computer or my phone, or there's one more computer here, I will check the IP address of this computer. Give me a sec. This computer is also on, so I'll say IP config on this laptop, and I'll say, what's the IP address? I'm just looking for it. 192.168.50.80. So let's say I cancel this, Control C, and I'll say, can you find this computer on the network? If it is up or down, -t 192.168.50.80. Yes, this computer is alive. I'm getting a ping delay here, and that's okay. But I'm getting some reply here. I'm getting a reply little slower than 1 millisecond, because I'm going out from my computer, going to the router. Router is looking for this computer, this laptop here. This laptop replies me back to the router. That router says, yes, I find this computer on the network, but it is getting some lag and time delays. Point here is not to compress the latency time. Network administrator has that job to find out what is causing the latency, what is the issues he might be looking at to reduce the latency later on. But at the moment, I am getting the reply back. Okay. So coming back to the topic, that I started this exercise by creating a folder on my personal computer, and I said that share this folder on the network, right? And the path that it created for me is what? If I recall that, the path it created for me is this one, sharing path. So let's copy this path and let's create a file in here, new file, a new text document, and I'll say test document or something. I just created a text document. I am standing in my D drive Kashan documents IT department. I'm going through my actual hard drive to this path. Can I go through the network to this path? Yes, I will. So Control V. Remember, this is the IT share path that I have. If I'll open up this same folder, I am not going through my D drive. You see that I'm going through the network path. That is the same folder that I created on my system, but this time I'm going through a network path, not by going onto my D drive, and I'm not going into my documents folder, and I'm not going like this. What I am going like this time is by going through the network path. So this time when I go through the network, I go onto the router, and router says that I did find this computer that is online, and there is a folder that computer is sharing. Yes, I can show you the content of that folder. If I go and remove IT department from here and just say, can you find this computer for me? Only yes, it did find that computer, but this computer is only currently sharing one folder. That's what my router is telling me, that this computer is only sharing one folder. And you are going through the network path, that is why it is only showing you that folder. But obviously this folder already located on my D drive, so I can access that folder that way as well. This is how it works on the server. So you create the same folder on the server. You will create a folder called IT department on the server drive, which will be a huge drive, for which you will create the folders for each department in your IT company. IT department, management, warehouse, accounting department. You might have subfolders underneath: account receivable, accounts payable, and all those folders under that accounting folder. Then you might have an engineering department, or blah blah blah. So the network administrator will first set up all those folders, the hierarchy of all those folders that are required in each of your each of your departments, and then he will create a shared of this using this way. And then people who know how to access this folder, because this folder reside on the server, not on your personal computer, it will be residing on the server. So just pretend that this is my server at the moment. If this folder reside on the server, I can access it through the network path using this. So I'm accessing this folder using the network path using this. Any questions so far? Because I'm going to go a little bit more inside it. Okay. So let's look at this one. So my IP address was 192.168.50.24. This is this computers on which I'm taking the class. I'm not talking about my laptop anymore. So my computer is known on this network by two things: my computer name and my computer IP address. So which means if I write my computer name, it should be able to identify that yes, I see this laptop as well, this computer. There you go. It is replying me back, but showing me some other weird stuff. But keep an eye on this. I'm getting the reply back from some kind of a weird text, but it is replying me back with the same intensity that it was previously doing that. So it's very clear to me right now should be that I can identify my computer on the network with my IP address and with my computer name. Correct? So, which means I can access this network folder with the help of my IP address as well, because this is essentially the same thing. The computer name or the IP address are essentially the same thing. This is my IP address. I'm correct, and I will enter that. Take me to the same path, but this time it is showing me that IP address has this same folder that is shared. So now things are getting clear. I can access the shared folder using the IP address. I can access the shared folder using the computer name and then the folder name. I can access, if I'm sitting on that same computer, I can access that same folder using my actual D drive, which is not likely to happen in the real environment, because if you are working in the accounting department, IT department will not give you access to the server. They will give you the shared path that you can access. But if I am the person from IT department, I will have access to all the shared folders which I am right now looking at. So this is just a practical way of showing you that yes, you can create folders and then you can create a shared on those. Going back, let's go to my D drive back, or on my documents folder, IT department. Let's go back a little bit and play a little bit further. I'm going to go show more options, go to properties, sharing, advanced sharing, that's where I was, permissions, and I said keep an eye on this. Nothing is shared, just a read only. Just the read only permission was given to everyone who can access it. Everyone means anybody. If I open up this laptop, I don't want to bring this laptop here, but just want to show you that if I try to access this folder from the network share, I will not be able to change anything. And the proof of it, I can show you here. So this is the shared path with which I can access this folder. But let's see, I'm going here. I'm right now going through my drive, not by network path. I should be able to change this because I am the owner of this document. So I'll just say test, test, test. I'll say file, save it. Let's say this is a Word document or something or some nature. I'm able to save it. The reason I am able to change it is that I went through directly through my drive to access this. The difference will come when I will go here to this network path and go here, and I'm going through the network now to this folder. And remember that I was only given the read permission. Was it correct? You saw that. Now if I try to say, okay, I want to add something to this file. I add the fourth test and I'm going to save it. What will happen? Anybody can guess? Read permission only. Not write, not edit, not execute. I gave you a very clear hint so you can write your answers before I press the save button. Wrong answers are will going to be entertained as well. Question is, I went through the network path. I only have a read-only permission to this folder when I'm coming through the network path, not going directly from my D drive and freely changing the file. I went through the network path and tried to add this one more test. Now I'm going to click on save and I only have a read-only permission. Will I be able to save this file? Yes or no? Won't save it. Good. See that. What will happen? When I click on save, it says, no, you are not allowed to save it. You are more than welcome to save it with a different name, but not allowed to save anything in this folder. In this folder, you are not allowed to save anything. And the reason being is that if you go to this folder, go to its property, go to the sharing side, advanced sharing, permissions, read-only permissions. Read is restricting anybody to write on this file directly. So this is a good thing. If a manager has made a document and it's written in stone, you are allowed to download the copies of it and keep it, save it on your personal drive or on your personal computer as many wishful thinking that as many times you wish. But you are not allowed to change the original. And this is essentially what happens in which world? In Bitcoin world, in cryptocurrency world. The wallet address that you will get on cryptocurrency is only recognized for you, right? Same idea. It's written in stone, nobody will be able to change it. If somebody try to change it, it is tempered and it will not keep its integrity. The integrity is slightly changed. If it's slightly drizzled, it is not that same file. So that is what essentially is. So the permission is not able to write. So coming back to that, so if I'll say click OK, and if I try to save it, it does not allow me. I am welcome to save it on my desktop or anywhere else if I want to. I will just save it on my downloads. I can save it. That's fine, no problem. But you are not allowed to save it going onto the network path. What was the network path? This is my network path going onto the IT department. Try to overwrite this file. No. This file was created at 6:26 p.m. and if I try to save it on this file, nobody will be able to save it on this same file. Author will save it, or the owner of the object can say that I created at this and this date and time stamp. Nobody will be able to change. You are welcome to save it on your systems. Fine. and you will be able to save it. But the integrity that was mentioned by the manager will stay there. It could be a Word document, it could be a PDF file, it could be a policy document. So now you know that if you keep it, you have the security associated with that. That is why the security of your documents, your file, is another aspect of computer networks. And that's why I said the branch of computer networking is security. So if you cancel this out, change settings a little bit. Ideally, you won't be doing that. But let's say if I want to give a change permission or I want to give a full control, there's a very thin line between change permission and full control. If you have given one more extra permission, you have given somebody one extra level of trust that they will be able to change that file. Well, if they are able to change that file, then you cannot sustain the integrity of that file. If somebody coming from the network path, not from the D drive, if somebody is coming from the network path, now they will be able to change this file. So let me go through the network path. It means no permission. Still, I think you will not be even able to see that file. We will try that out. So now let's go back in the test folder, coming through the network path. Let's say test this time. Will I be able to change? Yes, I was able to change, because we will see that. We will take out, put some options, and we will see. Now I'm able to save it. But the problem here, the timestamp of the file is changed. So it is not the same file which somebody with the authority has changed it, because you gave the change permission. So you can have some folders with the change permissions. Some folders should not have a change permission. The one that you have created or administrator have gone on and created and said that this will be the final and full and final, nobody will be able to change. Keep that one in the folder which is which is not given. Now let's answer Annie's question. She said, what if we remove the permission of it? So let's go through the drive path first. So this is your IT department coming back into action and going through the network path. Any ordered that nobody will be able to change that file. So based on that, an IT department person, which I am, I'm going in there and changing the properties of that file and say sharing permissions. Everything is taken away. Well, if you take everything away, you might not even be able to view this folder now. Go through the network path. First look at if you are able to see that folder. Yes. Let's see if I can see the content of this folder. No, I will not be able to even browse into that folder because I have took even the read permission out of it. Cannot even access. So read will actually show you the content but not allow you to change the content. Taking out the read is more stricter. You can browse to that folder, but you cannot even see what's inside that folder. Deny means let's play with that. So all these if and buts, you can test it out, but this is the bare bones setup of your folder security infrastructure on your network. Well, that brings the question. Ron has another question. Can you deny certain computers or all? No. There is no the security go by the users, not by the computers. Security goes by the user names, not by the computer names. So who is accessing, which user is accessing? The culprit is the user, not the computers. So yes, you can deny some users. You can put, that's where the grouping is more convenient. Grouping is more convenient. Grouping the people of certain department in one folder and saying that this group is not allowed to access this folder. This group is allowed to access this folder. So sales department will be able to, yes, if you deny to everyone, nobody will be able to access it. Yes, it is actually affecting the owner. I am the owner of this same folder on my system, but I'm not able to access it through the network path. I'm still able to access it through my drive path. That's fine. I'm able to access it through my drive path, but I'm not able to access it through the network path, because even the ownership has been denied with that. And that is why, if I go back a little bit, it makes this topic has made everyone interested, because they want to deny some folders to their kids at home. Maybe. Is that? Yeah. Yeah, everybody wants to save their documents and pictures. So going back to the sharing, advanced sharing, you can create, so you are in the wrong program then, Annie. You should be in the networking program if you want to play with your kids. But yeah, you can play around with these settings. You can now, even at this point, I'm in a dilemma what to do. So let's say add. I have screwed up really bad, I think. Now my computer is clocking. So I took out all the permissions. Now computer doesn't know what to do. So let's see. This is my actual computer name on this computer. Or I can say, I think it is called everyone. If you say everyone and check name, everyone means everyone. Here you see this is broken down into two portions. One portion is grouping. You can have a group or entire group. So you put all of your kids in one group and shut them in one group, and then they will not be able to access it. Or if you make a sales group, a service group, a warehouse group, a blah blah group. So you will have in this networking infrastructure, you will have groups, and we saw groups in Azure as well. So this is the important, this lays down the importance of grouping in computer networks. Everyone means everyone on the network, not regardless. So sometimes when you send out the emails to everyone in the company that our network is having issue, you send out that email across the board, regardless whether it's a sales guy, service guy, or everything. So that is what everyone means. If you have sales guy, you want to just sales group to be targeted and want to communicate with the sales people only, then you will use that part. Full control is a bad thing. You don't want to give everybody a full control. So it all depends how you want to give the permission. I can go on and on and on with this, with further security related things, but just keep it till here and let you explore the rest of it. So you can even change permission for each particular object by going in here, properties, but better off that you apply it on the folder rather than individual object, because it will make your life so much miserable if you have 100 items and if you are going apply, give this permission, give that permission, give not, give that. It will be a miserable life for an administrator. That give this person that file, give that permission to that file, not file. Go by the permission on the folders. That will be lot easier. If somebody is out of exceptions, yes, you can play with the exceptions, but start with the bigger chunk of groups and then go from there. Hide or whatever the files, yes, you can do all these things. Last thing. So any network drive, any network share that I created, which is this one, I'm going to copy the path one more time if I have not lost it. Cancel. Now, one last thing. Even though this drive resides on my computer, I can map it as a network drive, or I can create a shortcut of it on my computer. So let's start with the shortcut. Let's close this out. Let's close this out. New shortcut. So when I create a shortcut, it's asking me what's the path of that file, what's the path of that folder for which you want to create shortcut. I paste this path and I'll say next, and it says that okay, looking for that. If I have not screwed up with the permission, let me just go and make sure that I have given at least some permission to that folder. So let me go under there, documents, IT department, folder, give some permissions actually. I don't want this read only. Want to share, advanced sharing, permissions. Yeah, that is my problem. So I should have applied the permission. Everyone should have access to it. So back to the basics where I started. I want to give at least everyone a read permissions, and I click apply. Okay, apply, okay, close, done. So now I want to create a shortcut for this folder and click next. It says that, yeah, I did find this folder. It is available on the network. I can say it. I can create a shortcut with a shorter name, something, ITBEPT or something, and I'll say finish. Now there's a shortcut for that folder on my computer. Now I'm accessing that folder through the network and that shortcut is created. But you have to keep in mind that the user has to be created with the same name on the other computer because you are on the peer-to-peer network. You are not on the client server model. So this username who has access, actually in this scenario, we have everyone have access. So nobody will be given, nobody will have an issue, but they are able to see that as a shortcut. So now I'm able to access this folder as a shortcut on my system. But this is what network administrator can give to me. So this is the only difference. This is the problem with Microsoft Windows Home Edition, not the Pro Edition, that you cannot, that you can give this, you can only create the shortcut. The next thing I am going to do, you cannot be, or I think you should be able to do it in Pro. I'm just thinking out. But you should be able, yeah, if you are not the part. So I'm not going to overcomplicate things. In Windows Pro, you can do the same thing as well. So let's close that out. And let's go here, back here. And let's do one more easier thing. Right click and I'll say map a network drive. I'm going to call it a Z drive and see what it is saying. The name of the computer, the name of the server, and the location of the share. Isn't it the same thing? Double backslash computer name slash the folder name or the share name. Yes, it is. Finish this. Wait for a second. Actually, it has created a shared drive for me on my computer now. Just like my C drive, just like my D drive, I have a Z drive as well, which I can access as a network share. And this is what administrators do. They create a shared folder. Then if they give you the right path, or if you have the right path, you can map this as a network drive. Isn't it cool? Right now I'm on the same computer trying to explain everything that how the networking works. But think of it, if I'll go to another system and give that computer a shared path and map this drive, which is the Z drive, I will be able to write this same file onto that. I will be able to write onto that folder. If I have a full permission, I can write to this folder depending this computer is up and running. If this computer is shut down, obviously my hands are tied. If I double click on it, my computer will keep clocking because this laptop will keep clocking because it will not be able to find that folder, find that file, or find the drive to which the network path is mapped. If it is mapped on my laptop. Because I'm doing everything on one computer, you are able to digest that. So this is the practical example. I'm going to disconnect this network drive. I don't need this. I did that in Azure course and I had the network drive. My network drive is disconnected. But remember what I did over there. I did a mistake and I was stuck with the network drive. What I did, I deleted the network path on Azure first. And then when I came here, I tried to delete the network drive, but it was clocking. And because it was not able to delete, I don't know whether you remember it or not, but I had a hell of a time to get rid of it. I had to actually go on my Azure account, create that network drive again. Then my computer was able to see it and I was able to delete that. But I had a very hard time. So my IT department shortcut is there. I don't need it. I'm just dissolving everything now. I'll go back into my D drive. So sometimes my son say, can you install Microsoft Office on my system? I say, bring a USB stick to me. If he doesn't find the USB stick, I create a network share. I put Microsoft Office or whichever setup that he's requesting. I put it in that folder. That folder is viewable on his system. I go onto his folder. I map this, and then I map this network drive on here and try to run that. But it takes a little bit of time because Microsoft Office is getting installed through the network drive and it has network latency that it has to deal with. Sharing is done. I don't want any further sharing. So I'm going to just say unshare this folder. I don't need it. It says people were connected with it. I don't care. I apply close. This is now an ordinary folder on my system. I can go ahead and actually delete it. Gone. So the show I put up is gone now, but you can try it out and there's a lot of margins to play. So you can set up a folder, you can share it, you can access it, you can deny it, a lot of things you can do with it. Coming to the slides here. I think we are done with chapter 10. If I'll go to chapter 11, actually I didn't knew that I actually covered these topics as well yesterday. When I opened up the slides, I kind of remembered, okay, yeah, I actually made this whole diagrams for you yesterday explaining all the network topologies. And in the essence, I actually covered this whole chapter, which is what is network topology, what are the different types of network topology, physical topology, transmission modes. Let's go over them one more time. Keeping this diagram in mind, we will be able to understand everything. Topology defines the structure of a network of how the components are interconnected to each other. There are two different types of topology, physical and logical topology. We are going to talk about physical topologies. One is bus, ring, tree, which is probably essentially as a bus topology, star, mesh, or hybrid. Let's go one by one. Bus topology is this topology which we looked at yesterday. This is the bus topology. So you can read out this, most of the slides from here and do the understanding of it. Ring topology, I actually explained that by looking at this diagram. Ring topology is like a bus topology, but with connected ends. The nodes that receive the message from the previous computer will retransmit it to the next. So it's like a pillow tag game. So if there's a packet here, it has to give the pillow or the packet to this guy, and that packet has to go to this guy. So I cannot directly communicate with this. Data flow in one direction, it is a unidirectional topology. The data flows in a single loop continuously, known as endless loop. Tree, which we haven't learned, very easy to understand, that we have this as a separate network and this is a separate network. If this hub, if this computer has to communicate with this computer, the route will be to go from here, hit this secondary hub, go to the central hub, and then hit the secondary hub here, and then hit. So visually you can actually also see that there is no direct communication between these two computers, because this is on a different subnet and this is on a different subnet. When connecting to other nodes, the core parent node acts as a bus, while the other child nodes spread the connections. The star, the most common client-server architecture, we have gone over it a few times. Mesh network is an arrangement of a network in which everyone is connected to every other computer, so it is kind of interconnected architecture. There are multiple paths from one computer to another computer. It does not contain the switch, hub, or central computer, which acts as a central point of communication. The internet example is the example of mesh topology. Once the connection is out of your house and you are searching for something, you are in the mesh world. I will be quickly done with this chapter actually. Simplex mode, half duplex mode, and full duplex mode. These are called transmission mode. Simplex mode is just one direction. You send a message, but you cannot receive a message. So it's like my son. I asked him that when you are done playing at the gym, just give me a call back on my phone. Let's say he calls me and then I did not pick up the phone. I cannot call him back because I don't have any direct number to reach him. He might have moved away from that location. So simplex means just one directional. I get the communication. If I'm not there to entertain it, I will probably lose that packet. So that is a one directional communication. So each communication channel has a different has a direction associated with it. The transmission media provides the direction, therefore a transmission mode is known as directional mode. The transmission mode is defined in the physical layer. So simplex, the communication is unidirectional. The data flow in one direction. The device only can send the data but cannot receive the data. So if I get a message from the boss and I don't want to, I can reply it, but that will still be a bidirectional. But if I get an order, I'll just have to abide by it. I'll just see a message and I'll put the device. So put the device and I cannot do anything about it. I just got the message and I have to just abide. The direction can only send the data in one direction. The transmission mode is not very popular as mainly communication requires two-way exchange. So you should be able to communicate and send the data back to them. And that is why simplex mode is not the preferred mode. Half duplex is walkie-talkie. You send the data, then you say Roger, then somebody else will be ready to send the data back. It's still one direction at the time, but other party has to wait until one flow is completed, then the other flow will start. So the transmission, just like when they are cleaning up the road or making up the road or something like that, one side of the traffic has to stop, all the other traffic has to come first. Once that is over, they'll remove the stop sign and then you can flow in that direction. So half duplex is that kind of so the station can transmit and receive the data as well, but message flow in both directions, but not at the same time, because otherwise there will be a collision. The entire bandwidth of the communication channel is utilized in one direction at a time, and which is good because you can use the entire bandwidth, because no two traffic are flowing in the same direction at the same time. You can use the maximum capacity. In full duplex mode, the communication is bidirectional, which is the most commonly happens if somebody is talking on the phone. Our phone communication is the best example of the full duplex. The data flow in both directions. Both stations can send and receive the message simultaneously. So it will be a lot easier if you have an example in your mind and then you just read the paragraph rather than just try to memorize it and you will not be able to understand. That's where I will stop today. I will let you do a little bit of practical with your with the one which I mentioned. Try to play around, create a folder, get your IP address, try to ping your system. I want you to run at least those two commands on your system, very important commands. The ping command and the ipconfig command. Ipconfig. Find out your IP address.